What is the future of the US? I have had so many questions and comments about this that now I'm bringing it to you. What do you think will happen next? But before you answer, here are a few historic patterns to evaluate. But fair warning, this is a long video, so be prepared to hang out for 4 or 5 minutes or save it for later when you have more time. And there's more about each of these historical cycles on my Substack at culturalperspective.com. If you're ready, here we go. So, first is Glubb's empire theory. This pattern is held for Rome and the Ottomans, the British, and many other empires. According to Glubb's theory, the US is in the age of decadence. This is stage 6 of 7. And this stage is characterized by defensiveness rather than expansion, widespread materialism, growth, wealth inequality, weakening sense of duty and civic obligation, and frivolity, obsession with celebrity, entertainment, and substance, and pessimism about the future. And from what I've seen in the US, this is pretty accurate. This stage typically occurs 250 years into an empire's life cycle, and America is 248 years old. The next stage in this cycle is the age of collapse, where empires fragment, loses its territory, faces invasion or internal breakup, and is replaced by a new rising power. So that's one possibility. Second, Ray Dalio's big debt cycle. This cycle has held true for virtually every empire in history. According to Dalio, the US is in the late stage. This is where debt levels exceed 100% of GDP. The US is at 123% right now. Central banks print money to finance government deficits. Wealth gaps reach historic extremes. Declining real incomes for the working class despite rising GDP, a loss of confidence in the currency and institutions, rising populism and internal conflict over wealth distribution, and emerging powers challenging the reserve currency status. Again, this is precisely what's happening in the US, and this happens 75 to 100 years after a nation has established its reserve currency. The US did this 80 years ago. It is right on schedule. The next stage in this cycle is the reset, where the debt becomes unpayable, the currency loses its reserve status, wealth transfers to creditor nations, and a new global power rises and establishes a new monetary order. Historically, this transition is rarely peaceful. And thirdly, the generational cycle. This is specific to the US and has occurred 3 times in the past. According to Strauss-Howe's theory, the US is deep in the fourth turning, the crisis. This stage is characterized by institutional decay and loss of trust in government, extreme political polarization along generational and ideological lines, economic instability and potential system collapse, external threats or major conflicts that force social unity, a complete restructuring of political and economic institutions, the emergence of a new civil order from the ashes of the old. Each cycle lasts 80 to 100 years. Again, the US is squarely in the midst of the crisis, the fourth turning. The next stage is the high, the first turning, a period of strong institutions, renewed civic unity, and collective confidence. It emerges only after the crisis reaches its climax and forces a resolution. However, getting to the high has involved revolution, civil war, and world war. All 3 patterns point to the same thing: a major crisis that reshapes everything. The empire fragments, the currency loses reserve status, wealth transfers to new powers, and political order collapses. History shows this transition is usually violent. What emerges on the other side could be renewal, but first comes the reckoning. This is where you come in. Do you agree or disagree with all this, and why? Let us know in the comments.